Hey everyone, today I want to show you why your business needs a strong personal brand right now. With all the clutter that we consume on a daily basis, through everything that we either watch, we see or we hear, it's important that now more than ever, our brands need to stand out from the crowd in order to stay relevant to consumers. In this video, I'm going to show you what constitutes a personal brand, why your personal brand is more important than anything, how your business will prosper if your personal brand is remembered by consumers, and what you need to do to create a strong personal brand. My name is Richard Gerritsen-Cornell, and I'm a business coach and mentor to startups, SMEs, and corporate organizations. I've been in business since 1996, and I'm also the founder and owner of an award-winning digital marketing agency here in Sydney, Australia, operating for about 27 years. So let's get into it. So what constitutes a personal brand? Well, there are many types of businesses out there, right? Selling either a variety of products and services or solutions. And these businesses have hundreds, thousands, or even millions of competitors in their space. And they're all competing for the same attention from a potential customer, right? Now, why is it important that some of these businesses seem to grab the attention of consumers more than their competitors and then go on to sell more of their products and services in such a competitive market? You know, is it because they spend more on advertising, or is it because they are more active on social media, or is it because they have been in business for a much longer period of time? Well, any of these reasons, you'd be correct in saying that that's right? But the businesses that have the most cut through with their consumers are the ones that have strong personal brands that people can relate to, and their brands are trusted by consumers. That's more important than anything. And the simple definition of what constitutes a personal brand is essentially when we see someone who is the face of their brand, someone who is willing to bet themselves in their products or service offering. And in doing so, we get to learn and rely on their information, what they're giving us, and we start to familiarize ourselves with them. But more importantly, we start to trust what they are saying on more of a personal level, because we can see that they are putting their face to a name, and in doing so, we feel a closer bond with their brands. Now, in time, we start to look forward to hearing from them about their products and services, right? And because they seem to have earned our trust now, we are much more likely to buy their products and services on a more regular basis. Why your personal brand is more important than anything? Well, in this world of information overload, it's so easy to see why only a handful of brands are remembered in certain spaces, right? Now, when we look at the brands that resonate with us, they are usually the brands that have a face behind the name. But even though there are plenty of businesses out there that have brands with faces behind their names, not all of them capture our attention, or for that matter, earn our trust in the same way. And ultimately, the brands that capture our attention and earn our trust are the brands that are the ones that have a face that people can remember, are consistent in their messaging, have proven their worth in the marketplace, and provide tremendous value, have a large and engaged, loyal audience of followers who can spread the brand's message to other like-minded people. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, the businesses that have good personal brands and are constantly giving their consumers what they want by way of information or ways to provide extra value to their customers end up being the brands which are most successful. Now, these brands understand how extremely difficult it is to earn the respect of loyalty from their customers, and in knowing this, they don't take it for granted. They know how much they've struggled to get to where they are, and they are usually extremely grateful for what they've achieved. But more importantly, they also know that nothing is forever, and in a world of extreme choice, they are very well aware that there is a competitor only moments away from knocking them off their perch. And this is why they are constantly trying to stay top of mind with their audience. And they do this by being innovative, current, and honest in their approach. But most importantly, they are highly visible all the time. How your business will prosper if your personal brand is remembered by consumers. Now, in the advertising world, we often refer to the term recency and frequency, right? This basically means how often a brand's message is broadcast to an audience in order to be remembered. And as a general rule of thumb, a consumer needs to hear a message about 7 times before they either remember it or go on to take action. However, in some cases, these figures can even be a lot higher, especially when brands are new or if their audience is, less engaged. Now, in my ad agency, where, we produce ad campaigns for clients, we take into account not only their budget, how much they've got to spend, but how many times we can send out ads to the same consumer in a day or across a certain amount of time to ensure our client's message is remembered. Now, when we look at the brands that communicate their voice to the market effectively, you'll see that they are always recent, meaning that they don't have a large gap between their message the time in which they communicate their message, and frequency meaning the amount of times that they will share the same message across a wide variety of platforms. Now, personal brands understand this better than anyone because, they know that if they are not consistently communicating their message and making sure that their audience is resonating with their messaging, then they could soon be forgotten. And this is all because as consumers, we are sport with choice. We can get content from absolutely anywhere. So if you are a personal brand and want to capture the attention of a consumer in your particular market, then it's vital that you understand that a brand doesn't just become a success overnight. And it even takes a lot more time to be remembered. But what is the biggest takeaway here is that you must continue to develop your personal brand as your audience grows as well. So staying relevant here is key. And if you stay relevant, stay consistent and stay focused on showing up to your audience, then they'll reward you by not only buying from you, but buying repeatedly over a longer period of time. And for every customer who buys from you, they'll also have a larger network of their friends that they will refer your brand to. So you can see how your sales will compound in time. What you need to do to create a strong personal brand. Now, in order to create a strong personal brand, you'll need to do the following. So look out for my tips here. Number one, you need to be the expert in your field. Now, I say this with a grain of salt because I'm not suggesting that only you can be the best and there will be no one out there who's better than you. I don't mean that. But what I mean by this is that you must be experienced enough to talk about your topic which relates to the products and services that you're selling, right? It's vital that people see you as an expert in your field and one that they can rely on for accurate and informative content. Number two, create a personal brand that people can remember you by, Whether it's through your style, your image, or, the way in which you communicate your message, people will usually resonate with like-minded people that speak in the same tone and manner, right, as they communicate. So, this is really important because there is no point trying to communicate your message to an audience that simply won't understand you or won't resonate with you. You need to be relatable to your audience. And if you can do this correctly, then they will be attentive, open to your offering, and be more likely to recommend you to other like-minded people. Point number three, be consistent in your messaging. Now, I already touched on this before, but I need to highlight this again, as it's so important that you communicate your message consistently. So your audience will look forward to hearing from you. Your audience will not only look forward to your next piece of content, but they will incorporate your personal brand into their own lives as a way of, relying on you for their own enjoyment, as they're now sharing interests and synergies between them and you and your personal brand, right? Point number four, provide tremendous value over your competitors. Now, if you are hell-bent on making money, right, like any business should be in order to be successful, then first and foremost, you must provide better value than your competition, right? If you provide better value, you will leave your audience no option but to seek you out first, and you will gain an ongoing stream of loyal customers that will be very willing to speak about your brand to anyone who's willing to listen. And this is where the true value in your personal brand lies. Now, remember, it's not about a one-off sale here. It's about keeping a customer for life. Now, I talk about this topic more in some of my other videos, so please be sure to go and watch them as I discuss this in a bit more detail. But I can't emphasize this enough when I say how important it is to provide value first. So keep this in mind when you're thinking about how to create a successful personal brand that has absolute longevity. Number five, don't ask your audience for anything. Now, by this I mean that you should never come out trying to convince people to buy your products and services straight off the bat, right? You've got to do this, you've got to buy this, Remember that you need to earn their trust first. And the only way to do this is to provide good quality content at no cost that will help them in their own lives first. Now, trust me, this takes a lot of time, and personal brands that provide value for a longer period of time will find it much easier to ask their audiences for something when the time is right, and the audience won't feel pressured. They'll be much more open to the brand's offering when they're ready to purchase on their own terms. Point number six, be honest. Simple as that. I suppose this is pretty self-explanatory, right? Just don't bullshit to your audience, and certainly don't claim to be an expert in something if you have no idea, or at the very least have a limited understanding on your topic. Don't just regurgitate the same stuff that other personal brands are doing just to hopefully win some of their followers. It just doesn't work. Now, if you're selling anything, and it doesn't matter what it is, do not make claims you can't support, because remember, now you are the face of the brand. If you are not honest in your claims and they're not substantiated, then you'll lose your audience forever, and there's absolutely no way that you can come back from this. Point number seven, be respectful. I also talk about this in a great amount of detail in one of my other videos called Sell Anything to Anyone Honestly. So please go back and watch that video, as it really showcases the importance of respect. Treat your audience with the respect they deserve. Never disrespect them. It's a simple common courtesy. I'm going to give you a little example. I was watching a YouTuber who I loved watching. I was watching his content for years, and then one day he released a post where he ranted about how he can basically say anything, no matter how disrespectful it is to his audience, simply because he thought his audience was sheep and would continue to watch, no matter what he thought about them. Well, what a jerk. Now, even though I loved his content very much, I thought, bugger him, from today, I'm going to stop watching him. And I also unsubscribed, I should have said, from his channel. Now, I'm not sure how many other people thought the same, but I thought that was just on principle. I don't want to give him the pleasure of keeping him on as a subscriber. He lost my trust on that day, and I honestly couldn't believe if he was serious or was simply a test to see what he could get away with. And even though I miss watching him because I really liked his content and I could relate to him, he simply lost me forever for his blatant disrespect. So my point here is that you should never take anyone or anything for granted, and certainly not from your audience who values you and your personal brand. So remember this in each touch point in creating your messaging on your personal brand. Point number 8, be yourself. Don't copy anyone else's personal brand. Remember that they have their own style, their own messaging, and their very own way of communicating with their audience in a way that only they do well, right? So ask yourself why you started following someone's personal brand. What were the reasons why you liked them and resonated with their content? Now, I'm not suggesting that there is only one person who can speak on a certain topic, right? Or who can sell a particular product or service, but creating a personal brand is not about that. Creating a high-value personal brand is all about uniqueness. Now, if you can be yourself throughout your journey and you can find an audience that resonates with you, then you're successful, and your audience will reward you, I should say, for that in spades. Now, this wraps up my video today, and I really hope you got a lot of value out of my content. Thank you very much for watching, and I'd also ask you if you could please subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. I would really appreciate it. And also let me know in the comments below if you're thinking about creating a personal brand, or if you have a brand that you can share your insights with, as I would really love to read them. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.